So today's agenda, we have an icebreaker. We get into that. Mindful eating. I got some high chews in my bag. Meditation. We'll go over breathing and all that jazz. Discover emotion regulation and possible. We'll probably do bookwork. Nothing too complicated. All the fun stuff. But so why mindfulness? Mindful eating in particular. Mindful eating is combat ruminating thoughts, those negative things. Meditation relieves stress and the likelihood of burnout. Life has a lot of overbearing elements that causes us to have some disruption when it comes to emotions and regulating those things. It's important to practice certain concepts and live those things out. Now, I want you to become 5-year-olds for a minute. Just open it like this. And now, this thing dropped from Mars. You don't know what it is. It's new to you. You've never seen it. You never tasted it before. You never heard of it. You may or may not have anyway. So we're just going to play with it. Just pull it, prod it, peel it, examine the edges, examine the grooves, see where it's light, see where it's darker, twist it, turn it. What does it feel like? What's the texture? Is it sticky? Is it smooth? Yeah. Gum-like. Now, you're gonna put it towards your mouth. Don't swallow it, just put it in there. Now you examine how it came to your mouth in the first place. Like, how did you approach that? What hand did you use? What fingers? Where was it on your fingers? Roll it around. What's the taste? Is it still smooth? Is it still soft? Now begin to chew. Now, where are you chewing? What side of your mouth? What tooth? It's the flavor. It's probably more intense than it was just a second ago. Or maybe the first piece you had. And now you begin to swallow. Examine how it goes down. The feeling as it goes down. No, they won't. And you just played with your candy like a kid. Now, I had you do that for a reason. Sometimes when we're eating, we just kind of go, probably the first piece you had, it just went down. You weren't thinking about it too much. But hopefully during this process, as you were examining the candy and playing with it, rolling it around, you were in the moment. You weren't worried about what happened 10 minutes ago. You weren't worried about what's going to happen tonight, what you're going to eat, or tomorrow, the day after work. And that's the point of mindfulness. And with mindful eating, we want to adapt the attitude of staying in the moment. We want to accept what's going on and not reject it. And that comes from a lot of the negative things we experience. Sometimes we want to feel the emotions we feel and we become avoidant. We take maladaptive approaches to solving our problems, resolving emotions. And so, what part of this just did was help you gain a tool in those moments when you're stressed out, grieving, probably sadness, maybe you're angry. Get a piece of candy and just play with it. Just get lost for a moment. Examine the candy. How did it change when you were dealing with it? And it helps you also just to not only escape for a second, but whatever you're sitting with, you're better able to deal with it. You're better able to manage what you're going through just because your attention is focused on something while you're feeling it. But uh, we're taking more opportunity to embrace it as opposed to run from it. Now we have a paired muscle relaxation. This is a little interesting. But for the moment, I'm going to teach you how to breathe. I was at Taekwondo this morning. Our grandmaster, he was talking about breathing. And we don't breathe correctly most of the time. You ever seen a baby laying on its stomach? Up, down, up, down. We begin to breathe with our chest a bit more as we get a little older. I don't know why that is, but it happens. And so, with correct breathing, we want to take in through our stomach and push out through our chest, through our lungs, out through our nose. So, I'm going to count off a couple of things. So, for the count of 5, I want you to inhale everything you got. Just take it all in. You want to expand your stomach as much as possible. I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to say relax. You're going to repeat relax in your mind just for that moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Exhale for 7 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's how we're going to breathe for a moment. We'll do a few of these and then get into muscle relaxation because that's what it encompasses. And so we're going to inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we're going to get into the fun part. You might want to back up a little bit. So we're going through a couple muscle groups, and we have some interesting ones. So with the number 1, either like this or like this. You're just going to hold it like this. It looks a little weird. It's okay to be weird. We're all here for one purpose, to get better, but if you don't do it, what's the point? Hold them out like this, wrist up. Just tense up really quick. You feel that tension in your forearms? Hold it. Now, when I say relax, you're just gonna just relax, let go of that. And then you're gonna exhale. But I'm gonna count up to 5 and you're gonna inhale. 5, relax, 7, exhale. And you just let go at the relax. Good. Inhale through your stomach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax, let go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want you to work on your forehead. It's a little funny. Eyebrows closer together. Wrinkle your forehead. You can even scrunch your nose if you want to. Yeah, just mean face, everybody. Mean face. Look at each other. Now, you're going to maintain that face. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. Let the face go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a little awkward, but if you're ever familiar with our pigeon-toed friends, we're going to have sort of like this position here. And you're really going to try to curve your toes together and your heels out like that. And you're really going to hold them. Curl your toes in your shoes. It's good. You got to feel a strong strain. Yeah, you do. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But again, I want to reiterate, mindfulness is an attitude about being in the moment. It's about embracing the present, not embracing the past or the future, but staying strictly in the moment. I'd imagine if you guys were going through these exercises that you were not, just kind of absorbed in other things, like what's going on in politics or things like that. But simply being in the moment, not judging how well you're breathing in, not judging whether you're doing it correctly, just doing it, being in the moment, staying in there. And that's what the essence is of this here. So I want you guys to write down your triggers. Things that make you angry, sad, things that'll make you uneasy, uncomfortable. You don't necessarily have to share. This is more for you. For those of you on Zoom, which I think is one person, you're going to write down your triggers. What triggers you? And we just went through the breathing exercises. And I'll talk a little bit about why I'm having you write down the triggers. What triggers you? Is it insults? Somebody cut you off? Loud neighbors? Loud children? All right. I had you write down your triggers because we just practiced breathing. We practiced mindful eating, which I could run through a little later if you want to get that in for the folks that came in a little late. But we want to use these things when we acknowledge that something's going to trigger us and we feel it coming on. It's a proactive approach, it's a proactive perspective for dealing with negative emotions that might come up in response to these triggers. So we have something called the stop skill that can help us kind of gauge what's going on. First one for a stop skill is simply stop. Do not just react, stop, freeze. Do not move a muscle. Your emotions may try to make you act without thinking. Stay in control. So the moment that you feel yourself getting triggered, that something's going to make you mad, whatever, angry, just stop. Just take a moment, pause, and do nothing. Take a step back, either mentally or physically. How do we take a step back? We take those deep breaths. We employ the mindfulness concepts of just what's going on in my body right now as I'm feeling this, as the trigger's happening, and breathe. Clench your butt cheeks. Inhale 5. Release. Exhale. And in those moments when you're challenged, that's when you want to employ this stuff. That's when you want to act out and use this stuff. So a lot of people who's like, well, it sounds good in theory. Well, okay, the next time you're in that situation where you're a little fired up, go somewhere else, roll your wrists, take in 5, relax, release, out 7. The next part is you're going to observe. You're going to notice what's going on the inside, what's going on the outside. What is the situation? What are your thoughts and feelings? And what are others saying and doing? What's going on the inside and outside? Is your heart rate going up? Is it suddenly hot in the room? Are you a little more sweaty than you were just a second ago just because of the situation? And, observe the situation. What's going on? What is the actual thing that's happening that's inducing the negative response, the negative emotions? When you want to examine your thoughts and your feelings as that negative situation arises, we're better in control of ourselves when we understand what's going on. We kind of just, we don't think, and we're just kind of out there, and then we explode and do things we shouldn't have, said things we shouldn't have, done things to others that we shouldn't have. That's why we want to take a second to self-examine, break it down for ourselves, and then come back to the real world. Proceed mindfully. Act with awareness. In deciding what to do, consider your thoughts and feelings, the situation, and other people's thoughts and feelings. Think about your goal. Use your wise mind to act in a way that's for better. You want it to be for better. So, what does that mean? You're taking in what you are going through. You're taking in what other people are going through. You're taking in what the situation is in totality. And what's the goal for that situation? You're looking at the end point. You're not looking at what happened. How can we come to a peaceful resolution? How can we come to a much more positive way of approaching a particular trigger, situation, and what have you? Stop. We're going to stop, take a step back, examine. We're going to observe what's going on inside and outside of us, and we're going to proceed mindfully. What do you think of that? Mm-hmm. Good point. Good point. So we had a bit of a black and white perspective, which I hear a lot of, and that's all right. Um, Certain things, I mean, if someone stepped on my shoe, I can let it go. If, say, if I had a lizard named Smith, somebody ran over my lizard when I let it out on accident. Um, that's going to be a lot harder than dealing with the shoe thing. Granted, um, not everything is painted with the same brush or has the same color, the thickness. But what we want to try to do, no matter how intense something may be, something is to us, we want to adjust our emotions for it. So it's best to just working with the smaller things or even the big things. You instantly got that feeling like, boom, I'm just gonna crash out. Just step back, just stop, and then like breathe, just breathe, big breaths. Good. Supplement our mind with conflict resolution driven approaches, which the breathing, the mindful eating, things like that. And we're gonna adjust our mind to decrease the negative emotions by practicing those things and increasing the positive emotions, harder depending on the situation, to reach the goal of peace, happiness, unity, stuff like that. We want to decrease negative emotion, increase positive emotion. And that's not to say emotions are bad. It's not to say anger is bad. It's not to say sadness is bad. All emotions are just emotions. It's just something you live with, it's something you deal with. Don't put a label on it. You're human beings. We're human beings. It's just it's our toolkit. Now, we got to learn how to use our tools. And part of that is just managing our emotions. Emotion regulation, first concept, situation. Engage or do not engage. We just talked about stop skills. Something setting you off in the room, just go outside, take a step, breathe a little bit, and then come back. Sometimes that's all people need. We choose to engage what will cause our triggers to lead us to go off astray, or we can choose not to. Sometimes it's inevitable. You got to get your car done, and there's going to be like $800 more than you thought it would be. What do you do then? To engage or to not engage. Sometimes we don't have a choice, but that's why we practice these skills. Emotion regulation, concept number 2, situation modification. Change the environment to make a better emotion regulated place to have. For some people, it smells. I'm a smell guy. I like getting those Eco cinnamon cone things from like Wegmans or Price Right. I like that smell. That's for me. That's calming. It might not be for somebody else, but if that's what you need to kind of like just bring yourself down a little bit, if you got like scent diffusers in the car or something like that, some people really prefer a clean place. That brings them serenity. Um, I got the dog there. That's supposed to represent like a calming painting. Artwork for some people is really a heavy thing. Pictures, it brings back positive memories. You know, something that will help you kind of look at and then just put your mind back into perspective. Just relax a little bit. What can you do to your environment to help you kind of level yourself off a bit? Thoughts. What can you do to your environment to help you become a much more emotionally managed superhuman? Yeah.
Like my thing is, one of my tricks was cleaning the bathroom. Like the bathroom is dirty, and I see that it's dirty. Oh, that should have been clean. I'm like, you know what? Just separate from it. Maybe I'll clean it later. And I'm not do too. Procrastinating help, but it's still there, so it triggers me again. So now it's just going for credit. It's like.
It's funny you say that because part of mindfulness is being locked into what you're feeling and embracing it. If you're like a raging bull, just like take a step out the way, just absorb what's going on and why you're feeling these things, question it, interrogate yourself, and then get to the situation. Some things is like you just got to do it. There's like no other way around it. the thing you've been avoiding and putting off because you know it'll cause you some stress, negative emotions in some capacity. You got to deal with people or whatever. It's better to deal with it. But going into those situations, that's why we need these tools and concepts to help us understand a bit of why we get to where we get to when those triggers happen. And then knowing that will help you adjust the way that you approach negative, dangerous situations so that we have a much more calmer, positive, peaceful life. I know it says one. Concept number 3, it might be 4, I don't know. Attention. So managing reactivity through internal, external suppression or distraction. So you brought up something earlier where it's kind of like we just hold it in. I like to bring it up sometimes. There was the movie called Thunderbolt. One of the female characters, she was like, this other character named Bob. He's Century, but anyway, he was like, how do you deal with that? The negative stuff. She was like, just push it down. Just push it down. And he was like, oh. Later on in the movie, they adjusted that to teach that you shouldn't do that. But the other concept we like to think of is like a beach ball. You're in a pool, you push the ball down. I'm sure we've had that experience in one way or another. And we go as far as we can, and sooner or later it slips and it pops up. When we put things off, when we let things kind of slide and just sit, manifest, it'll, like that beach ball, it'll grow, and then it explodes. Water shooting everywhere, it might hit a kid in the head. Other people are affected. We don't want to suppress. We don't want to hold it in. We don't want to just lock it up and kind of sit with it, because the triggers on your list, when it happens, it'll explode. You got people mad at you. You might hurt somebody else might hurt you. And now you just got a ruined day when you didn't have to. Sometimes it's better just to deal with the situation and in a positive way. Or if it's difficult, go through it, but use these skills to help you attack head on the problems that come. Don't hold it in. Let it out. We're going to practice that in a minute. Suppression is questionable as to whether it's healthy or not for the reason I've given. It's questionable because in some situations you just got to eat it. But when you're away from those negative situations, just let it out in some way. Let it out in some way. Doom scrolling, that's more idling than actually handling a situation or problem. It doesn't resolve anything. So you might find that you scroll and you're still as angry as you were when you got off the phone and you were when you before it. Emotion regulation. So here's some other things that it does. Suppression. It degrades memory of the event. It also has just negative outcomes. Stress isn't the healthiest for the body. In some cases, it does help us overcome some challenges. Mother lifting up a car. Although, on the other hand, gray hair. Health issues. High blood pressure. Things like that. And degrading of memory, you're so angry, you don't remember everything that happened. So you're just like, I said that, I did that. They said what? I mean, you weren't really attentive. You were too busy trying to let off what you were feeling based on the triggers. And you weren't practicing the concepts that we had. So now you're just kind of like, oh, I didn't remember that happened. Although others might. Appraisal. Reconstructing the situation to change the emotions. I stubbed my toe and it hurt really bad. After that, I stepped right on a Lego. Oh, God must be challenging my endurance to pain and my ability to regulate my emotions. That's a form of appraisal. You're looking at a person's or ourselves in a negative situation, and you're attributing it to something that can be positive about it. And there is a lot of things positive about. If I stub my toe and step on a Lego at the same time, well, I know how to move my feet better. And if I was diligent with, like, you know what, breathe so I don't fire off at people I don't intend to, you know, what growing concept, philosophy, religious expression can you apply to a bad situation so that it's not so bad? And that way we kind of reconstruct our thinking about the negative situations so that we reciprocate to the situations, people, things like dogs, or maybe so on and so forth in a much more positive way. Response modification, focus on targeting one or more experiential, behavioral, psychological components on an activated emotion response to promote change. We're going to do a little bit of that. So you're going to focus on something else in your life to help you deal with the bad thing that happened in a positive way and grow from it. Some people write. I'd love to do it. Some of you know. Talk through it with somebody reasonable. It's not going to fill your head up with bad stuff. It's going to tell you the truth. Be honest about it. Some people like to draw. Some people like to paint. Some people like karaoke, like to dance, they like to sing. Find that thing. You got to release the gunk. Bad things happen. How do you not suppress it? Response modification. How do you deal with something after it happens to where you're not this bad person, angry person, sad person, whatever it is? Positive affirmations, positive mantra. Something bad happens. What are you going to tell yourself? What are you going to tell others to help them overcome that negative emotion, the bad thing, what have you? I got some from my book here. Think too much, you'll pause as if you were bitten by a slow loris. Do nothing, and you might as well have been bitten by a saw-scaled viper. Slow loris, I did my studies for primatology when I was in Canisius for ABEC. They have venom that paralyzes. For us, it's not so potent, but for smaller creatures, they're like, I'm stuck. Saw-scaled viper, if you get bit, that's it. You're done. You're cooked. And what's that to say? If you think too much about something and you're just paralysis of the analysis, for lack of better words, just stuck with thoughts, you don't get anywhere, you don't progress, and you're stale. And if you do nothing at all to fix whatever the problem is, like, what's the point? What growth do you have? Um, it is okay to pick up small stones. It is okay if it took a little longer to search. Stack them. The journey is what it is, and you can't kind of, you got to go at your own pace. You got your own growth, you got your own path. Eventually, you'll have a mountain, but one way or another, stack your stones, stack your stones. Complaining is like walking backwards. So I want you to make three of your own mantras. What's that thing you're going to tell yourself? What's that thing you're going to tell somebody else to have a better response to a negative situation? And I want it genuine and authentic from yourself, not from somebody else. Use your creative mind.